Hello, and welcome to ComiCentric, issues number 8. On today's show, we have Andres Cervantes, aka Dre, of Dre's Geek Philosophy, along with his little pal, Tiger. Dre has been in the comic game for over 20 years and has been doing his own podcast for about 5. So join us as he talks about the past, the present, and his future. You ready?
I'm
Ready?
whenever you're ready.
Tiger, you ready?
Tiger, ready?
No, it's all right. And again, with us here is Dre. Dre from Dre's Geek Philosophy. Hi, say hello, Dre.
Hello, Dre.
Peter,
How's it going?
as always, with us as well. And today also our special little guest star, Tiger,
Tiger is here. I am currently holding him.
is being described. So Tiger is currently watching cards, distracted. So
He is currently pacified
yeah.
through the power of Disney Plus.
And because we have him today, I think we're going to change the subjects a little bit, twist it up. Because, I mean, seriously, you got put with the baby on the day you're supposed to show up by yourself.
It was just supposed to be me, but
Yeah, so
here with my son.
we're going to keep it a little PG as much as I can.
No worries. He's kind of distracted. As long as we don't put any emphasis on any words, I think he won't pick anything up.
Okay.
We're not gonna drink beer like
Yeah.
Patrick.
I have to drive.
Yeah.
And I'm a
Okay.
giant lightweight.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
There's that. But okay, let's start it off. Do you like comics?
I love comic books.
Dre, I've known you almost half my life. And I'm going to
This
say
is true.
a little bit over, I'm going to say.
It goes back a long way.
Dre was originally the first clerk I really ever interacted with at a comic book store. And I'm going to tell you a story really quick before we
Tell me,
get.
please.
Originally, when you used to work at Galaxy,
Mhm.
there you had arcade cabinets. And one of the arcade cabinets was like a
No,
puzzle fighter.
Silver Age Comic Galaxy.
Was it
that's right.
Silver or Golden Age?
No, that was Silver Age.
Okay.
Golden Age was when it was next to the laundromat
Next to the
and
laundromat.
Taco Village.
See, I never got to go there.
You never got to go to that one.
I
Yeah,
went once.
once there. That was just across the street, right?
Just across the street.
Across the street on Garfield and Reagan, for those who know.
Italian restaurant now or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
with the guy with the guns.
Yeah, they got the gun. You know about that?
I do not know about that. Oh my
We'll
gosh.
go back to that later.
We'll circle back.
Well, anyway, I was once playing there. I
Mhm.
ended up, someone else in the game stopped. It turned off. And I said, what the F? And now I turned around and there was Dre kicking me out. And that was my first real interaction with you.
So sorry.
I lost a quarter that day and I asked you for my quarter. You said, no, get out of there, And I pretty much left, I mean, back
Very
then.
unhappy.
Yeah.
I apologize. For that. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Young Dre was a shithead.
You could say poopy head because the kid's here.
Well, yeah, I know he's right next to me, but he's pretty. Oh no! Did it turn off?
No.
Oh, no.
It doesn't have a face to. Is he awake?
No, I was transitioning actually. So
That's
we're
right.
good.
Okay.
We're good.
As long as it picks up his face, it'll stay on.
Okay. So, I mean,
sorry.
that was the first time.
I'm so sorry. I really think back to how I was when I worked at that store, especially those first few years. I
Mhm.
was a terrible human being most of the time, and I really feel bad about it now in retrospect.
But the thing is, you fit the stereotype of the comic clerk back then.
I did.
You were a shitty guy, but you knew your shit. And that was why I kept coming back. Eventually,
I should have gave you a quarter.
it's all right. I got tons of quarters now, But eventually, like I said, I came back,
Mhm.
and I ended up getting a job there. And at that point, I think you only worked like 1 day a week. You started actually
Yeah,
working.
at that point, yeah, because I was working. Either I was working at Fry's or I was working somewhere else. I see now almost 20 years later, my
Mhm.
memory doesn't work.
Oh,
10 years ago, I'd be able to rattle everything off. Now I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I remember when I really quit,
Mhm.
that's when this young man
Yeah.
took my.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that Pete got in my spot when I
Yeah.
left.
Oh yeah, you know what I did when they told me, oh, we're gonna look for someone else? I literally ran from Galaxy to his house, and I knocked on the door, and I don't even know where you were in your room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told him, you want to work comics? And he said yes, and that was pretty much it.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, no, let's get
So,
Pete's perspective.
This is, it was like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Remember, he just showed up at the house. I'm like, what's going on? And he came in, he hung out for a little while. He's like, oh, do you want to look at the comic store?
Yeah. Well, that was my first time in your actual room.
Yeah.
You know, I really never went to his house before that. I mean, I've been to his house, but never
Right.
actually, went inside. So to me, it was fascinating.
Yeah, he was like, oh, by the way.
Yeah. Do you want to work? And he said, yeah. And then he took your spot.
Yeah, I was very adamant to the boss at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like when I leave, I want him to take my spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is very important. I want Enrique and Pete to be working here.
Yeah.
To carry on the legacy of comic book.
Because when I started working there, I took over Narut's spot.
That's right.
And then you took over, and he took over your spot.
Mm-hmm.
The other two guys didn't matter.
Yeah, the others didn't.
No.
Really do.
See, you guys are, how old were you when you started working at the store?
Wow, let me see. That was sophomore year of high school. I was like 14 years old.
That's underage. That's illegal.
Yes, it was. It was very illegal. My 22-year-old boss at the time. You have to keep in mind that the original owner of Comic Galaxy, he was like 22, 23 years old at the time.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't want the responsibility of being there, but here's this goofball who's like, oh yeah, I'll work here. I want to work at a comic shop.
And I remember you telling me you work for comic cards, or no, you work for basketball cards.
I was basically working for basketball. At that point, I bought so many basketball cards. I was just basically working for that. But the reason I got the job, I don't know if you guys know the origin story.
No,
of
please.
Trey getting the job at Comic Galaxy.
Please.
Because that whole summer of that would have been summer of '93 or '94. See, I can't even remember it. Like if I go look at my basketball cards, I could tell you when. But whatever summer that was, I was like campaigning. I was like, hey, I want to work here because I want to work here. Yeah, you have a job. You have a job. Me and the other goofballs who would like hang out there, who were my peers. And it was when the Pogs got really big. Whatever summer Pogs were gigantic, that's how I got the job, because they were overwhelmed. And there was one day where I just jumped behind the Pog counter because again, that's right. You had only been there once.
Mm-hmm.
You had never been to the Golden Age Comic Galaxy, as
Right.
I like to call it, the original one. When the Pogs got really big, they had a separate counter for just Pogs.
Wow.
And then Barry was so overwhelmed, I jumped behind the counter and started helping people without him asking me.
Yeah.
And it was after that, I was like, okay, I think you can work here. Then they gave me the keys.
That same
They
day?
showed me how to work the register.
Wow.
And then the following Saturday, I showed up by myself.
Wow.
And opened the store. I had no idea what I was doing.
Again, at 14.
At 14 years old, I was like, open the store, and I just sat behind the counter. Thankfully, I looked older than 14
Mm-hmm.
because of my mutant facial hair. So I got away with it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I had no clue. I was just ringing people up for comics and going about. And then some of the customers who knew I was like, what are you doing behind the counter? I'm like, I work here now. Because Barry was lazy and didn't want to work weekends anymore.
Nice.
And here's this dumb kid who was willing to give up the weekends of his summer.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to work at a comic shop. And there was no television. There was no internet.
Oh.
So I just spent the entire day reading all of the comics in the shop.
That is interesting. I never knew that.
That was kind of like the dream. I mean, honestly,
you were living the dream.
And then theoretically, that's how I knew my shit, because I literally read every comic in the store. Because he'd bring the TV to watch basketball when he was there, but he knew not to leave the TV when I was there. He'd take it home.
Nice.
And I'd just be me quietly, and then we had like a Super Street Fighter 2 cabinet at that point, and then maybe I'd play that once in a while. But no, sat at the store, read everything.
I guess that's where you got all the knowledge then.
Yeah, that's how I picked up. I knew every terrible thing. The Bad Avengers of '94 when it was really bad.
Yeah.
The Spider Clone Saga.
Teenage Tony Stark.
Teenage. Oh no, that was a little bit later.
That was later. Okay.
Wow. That was Age of Apocalypse.
See, that's funny, because I was just thinking about this the other day. I have a great story.
Oh,
When I was a
okay.
customer.
Oh boy.
I was working at this warehouse. The good thing about that was we would get these breaks, and they had internet. I didn't have internet on my phone. I have a phone, right?
Right.
Right.
I remember looking up there was a Green Goblin book where some kid found the Green Goblin and became a hero.
Okay.
I remember reading. I'm like, this sounds interesting. So I called the store and I asked. He was already like a year old, and Dre's like, oh yeah, we have that. I said, all right, well I'm gonna come after work. I'm like, all right. So I go, and you were like, oh, hold on. And you went and got him. And you're like, finally, someone bought this crap.
That is something that young Dre would have said.
And I was like, oh, all right.
Like, old man Dre would think that.
Yeah.
But young man Dre would say it
Say
out
it.
loud.
Wow. No filter whatsoever. Huh?
I really, I mean, I have a filter now, I guess, but
It comes with age? Question mark?
it really does.
Okay.
You pick, well, once you've worked a few corporate jobs, you have to learn to use a filter.
Yeah, very much so. But like golden age, I never got. Silver age is where I met you again, and we met you, I guess.
That's yeah. I remember you guys. I would say I was going to repeat because you have the wizard
I
credit
did
card.
have a wizard credit card.
The only guy I knew had a wizard
Yeah.
credit
You
card.
guys came in separately, and then there was a little while you guys started coming in like together, and that's how I got to know you guys.
Yeah, no, yeah. It wasn't until college that we
Mhm.
actually started going rolling together. And before that, I'd roll by myself. He'd roll by himself. And what thing was, there was like 2 comic stores between you guys and my house.
Was it Frank's the second Frank's Comic Council?
Yeah, and then another one on Whittier.
Mhm.
And I would choose to go there because it was still one bus, but I felt more of a vibe there than the
Right,
other
of course.
places, you know?
Because we were that image store.
Yeah. And we
That's
were
what
those image
everyone-
kids.
Everyone referred to Comic Galaxy as that image store. Like the lady who ran Valley Books in Alhambra.
Yeah.
Remember when I made the mistake of telling her, "Oh yeah, I work at Comic Galaxy," because I thought that was a cool thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you work at that image store, and with the look that she gave me.
Yeah, one thing I've learned in all these years, never tell me you work at a comic store.
Like never.
Never, ever,
It's
ever.
like, I feel like it's a good thing when I go pick up the book at Diamond and there's nobody there.
Mhm.
Then you have to make small talk with these other people, and it's all like,
What store are you from?
yeah,
No.
it's all like competition. It's all like,
Everyone's job measuring their e-team.
Mhm. And it's awkward. It's weird. Like, and it's so dumb because like, unless you're across the street, you're not competing with them. You're like, I don't know.
And in my current career
Mhm.
in video game wholesale, it's exactly the same
Really?
thing.
Really?
Oh, man.
Everyone's constantly measuring how big their wing is.
But everyone's measuring, let's say, against GameStop.
No, it's like no. Everyone they all ignore GameStop. They're all like because everyone's just selling online or
Uh-huh.
selling on all these different apps now. Like where we sell on this app called Whatnot now,
I just got that. I have no idea how to work it, but I just got that.
and you're gonna find out that their interface is horrible and they have no idea what they're doing.
Oh boy.
But they have millions of users, and that's all that matters.
And there's people that buy stuff for way more than they should be freaking selling.
And that's why my boss is selling games on there.
All right. Well, in that case, something got to look into.
No, I don't want to do it.
No.
Like, when it first became a thing,
Mhm.
I would have people coming in and scoring and going to the dollar boxes
Mhm.
and asking me, just like a big old stack, and asking me for a deal because they're like, oh, we're selling on whatnot. And I'm like, that's good for you. Like,
Good for you. That doesn't help me.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay full price. This is a retail store.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking to you like you're a wholesaler. It's so
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
It's different. I don't understand.
It's a whole different world, man.
But that's how they make their money. That and slabs, apparently, you know?
I hate slabs.
What? Okay, maybe you guys can. What is slabs? I keep seeing.
Graded books.
Graded books.
Oh,
I just learned the term not that long ago myself.
And you know what you call someone? This is actual like internet term.
What?
That hunts down for slabs.
What do you call them?
They call them slab lords.
And we'd get a kick out of that.
I am filled with the brim of hate. of
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
This is how I know I'm an old man now.
Yeah.
I personally own 2 graded books, and they were both gifts. I don't understand the process. I don't understand the whole mentality of that. You know.
Yeah. You never get to read them again.
But my good friend Francine Paul, he would always call a regular begging board a tomb or a casket. I can only imagine what he calls graded books. Is like you're sealing it in the Pharaoh's tomb.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, it's a whole new generation of collectors that they only collect graded books, and it's like, at that point, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like,
They're treating them like stocks.
yeah. And like, what I always think, like Indiana Jones, or like comics are meant to be read.
Yeah, it belongs in a museum. Yeah, this new generation of because I see it, in my past life in comic books, now my current life in video games. People are all about that too. They take these sealed games and stick them in these cases and like, oh, it says 9.5. This thing's worth 10 times now the value. I'm like, but you're never gonna get to play that good game.
And it's the same game as the one that's right next to it.
Yeah.
What's this weird collector mentality now?
Yeah.
Like it's changed to where it's more about resale. It's more about like, oh, I have this, it's worth this.
But who are you going to resell it to?
Exactly.
There's some other moron who thinks they're gonna it's a less scummy cryptocurrency thing. I feel like I think cryptocurrency is like the ultimate scumbag thing, but the way that the people like taking these collectible items that are meant to be read or played or interacted with and sealing them away, it's like this. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's just it seems like a big scam to me.
Yeah.
And people are just scamming each other. And like, there's some people who think, oh, this will be worth millions when I'm older. And like, you have a Beanie Baby, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen to you.
Well, the thing too is that, like, I think like anything else, we've always talked about this. Is like, it doesn't matter what the price guy tells you. It's whatever someone's willing to pay for. That's what it's worth.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
That's very much true. I'm not willing to pay much.
No, exactly.
No.
Yeah, like I see this stuff all the time. It's like my boss is like, oh, cool, I got this 9.5, blah blah blah, Little Samson's super rare Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, that sucks. That means if that's super rare, that means there's only like 5,000 of them. I mean, that's one less than anyone can play.
And then, does it even work? Does it have a battery inside?
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
So I think it all started though, like, where like people don't. It gets rare. We see everyone like digging through the back issues, but I feel like people don't do that anymore. People just like look it up on their phone, buy it on eBay, and
move on.
Yeah. I'm going to continue to date myself here, but I remember like the most excited I would be is like to get to a comic book convention or to find some hole in the wall store and dig through their dollar books.
Yeah.
Because I was going to find stuff I wanted to read.
Yeah.
The old East LA College swap meet, there was a guy who'd show up with like 30 long boxes.
That's 50 cents.
And it was 50 cents. That guy was 50 cents.
I remember that guy.
And with $10, I'd go home with 20 comics. I had that entire Justice League run of Giffen and DeMattei. I'm like, oh, cool! Look at all these weird comics. And I'd be sitting in the car reading them, like, whoa, this is insane. This is kind of funny.
Yeah. Was that the one with the Guy Gardner in the team?
Oh, it was Guy Gardner. It was General Glory. There was Fire and Ice.
Man, like, not to change the subject, but
Go ahead.
There's a Tom King Human Target book right now.
Okay.
Where that Justice League, one of them poisoned the Human Target.
Oh my god.
Well, they tried to poison Lex Luthor.
Yeah, tried to poison Lex Luthor, but he was posing. The Human Target was posing Lex Luthor.
And the JLI poisoned him.
So one of them, he suspects.
It's excellent.
And
Tom King.
Every issue is him like interrogating one of those members.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The latest one was Martian Manhunter. Fucking great.
Yeah. And then like he's kind of dating Ice too. Like it's interesting.
I think that's gonna be something at the end. She did it.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He's dating Ice and Guy's after him because he's jealous.
Yeah, he's jealous because that's his girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it talks about like I don't know if this is something that's actually in canon, but apparently she died.
Yeah.
And then she came back to life, and then they thought
Ice Goddess.
Yeah. And then they talk about how like Lex was tied to that.
Oh really?
And that's why they think one of them tried to kill him.
Oh.
So it's kind of a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
I'd say I love that these writers who are like our age or younger, who are like total comic book nerds who love like this old like weird stuff, are integrating it into the actual comics today.
Yeah.
That's what kind of bums me out that like I'm not as connected to comic books as I used to be.
Yeah.
Like because it was comic books was my life.
Yeah.
I worked at Comic Galaxy to bring it back. I worked from when I was 14 till I was like 21 or 22 or no, even longer.
Yeah.
I forget how old I was.
And even after that, you still kept on coming by.
I still kept coming by.
Yeah.
Like I stopped working. I said if I started there, it must have been 10 years because if I started in '93, I stopped in '03. That's when I was working at Fry's. Like I know I was working full time at Fry's.
Yeah.
I got promoted. And I couldn't come in on Saturdays anymore, and that was where I was like, okay,
We got
They
to take
needed to
over.
hire Malini to take over my shift or two that I was like filling in for. Yep, I was going to tell you one of my favorite memories of when you and I were working together.
Little Caesars.
Exactly. You pulled it right out of my head.
Yeah, it's one of mine.
Go to Little Caesars. Yeah. Did we each do a pizza?
Yes, sir.
We were young men.
Yeah. He said, "You want pizza?" And I said, "Yes." And he comes with 2 pizzas, pepperoni pizzas.
Yeah, that's when they started the $5 hot and readies.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one up for me, one up for him, and we'd sit there. We would watch something. Or,
yeah, we were watching.
Just relax.
We're not doing anything. We're just watching.
Yeah, just relax. Eat a pizza.
Yeah. Now we do that with these little pizzas. They're like personal size.
Yeah,
we're not as young as we used to be.
No, it kills me now.
We could do that in our 20s.
Not anymore.
Now we're much older. No, we can't do that.
No, yeah, that was one of my first times, that realization that Dre was more than just the guy that, worked there. He was a good friend, and since then we've always kept in touch. We've always, been around, all the way up to fatherhood.
Now I'm a dad now.
Well, before that, you were one of our mentors, believe it or not. You were mentoring us even though you didn't know it.
Yes, I realized that as I got older, and I wanted to make sure before this podcast ended, I wanted to tell each of you that I am very proud of each of you.
No.
I am. I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
No,
I'm very proud of both of you.
Well, I was gonna thank you because without you, we wouldn't be down this path.
Because I know you, all the crazy stuff that you've done, Crazy Pete.
Yeah, I like to make my life difficult.
you like to make your life difficult, and then when I heard you were starting your own podcast, Cruz, you had no idea. I was like beaming like a proud father.
I was scared of what you were going to think of me. Because there were so many times you were like, come down to the podcast, come down to the podcast.
I wanted you because I always felt whenever you were there, you wanted to contribute more, but you felt like you couldn't. And I wanted to pull that out of you.
Well, you got 2 big brains in front of you. What do you want me to do? It was difficult.
I know. And again, like when I'm on my own show, like I do love to hear the sound of my own voice. I mean, I run the show by myself now. It's become it's just a vehicle of its own. And some weeks that works and some weeks it doesn't. But the fact that you dove into this, you like I said before we started, you have very professional equipment. And the first couple episodes, it was like a warm blanket. It felt so good to listen to you just open up and talk about your passion, because you are very passionate about comic books.
I've always been.
You as long as I've known you, you've been very passionate about this stuff.
And
you guys are creators. So again, one of my proudest moments when you made the comic where I died.
And that was a spur of the moment thing. That was like, it was a gift for a birthday.
Yeah, I still wear the shirt that you designed.
Oh,
Dre's Geek Falafels. I still wear that shirt. I would have worn it today, but I mistimed everything with the shirts.
That's fine.
But no, I want to tell you, I'm I realized as I got older, I was being a mentor to you guys.
Yeah.
And I respect you guys very much. You guys, you're my boys. I don't want to suck your guys' dick too hard here, but yeah, no, I'm very proud of both of you.
Well, suck away, we'll suck right back. I mean, no, it's seriously, it was one of those things I didn't know. I picked up father figures along my life all the way, and you were one of those background father figures that I really never paid attention to, but was there advising, giving advice on this, that, or whatever it was.
I think once I hit 30, I realized I'm like, I need to be better to you guys.
No, yeah. And then after that, you started your own podcast. And actually, before I say that, I wanted to talk to you first before I started this. I even told Malini that I wanted to talk to Dre because I wanted some mentorship. But it was one of those things he told me, I just got to get in it and just go.
That's true.
And I just did that. So I was like, all right, my whole goal was to have you on eventually. And
not this soon, maybe.
Not this soon, but I was going to have you. And this is because I wanted to get better at it before I had you on.
No, you're already a natural. Especially even after those first couple episodes, I was like, oh no, you've had this in you.
Yeah.
You had this voice that you wanted to share, like what you think. And I love the premise that you're bringing on the eccentric people who are into comic books.
Yeah, because every other podcast talks about the book, the writer, the artist, and sure enough, that's great. But people know about these, people who love these artists and art writers and all that stuff are the people that make them. We are the people that make them. So I want to know why they make them. Why? Like, for example, you you say you're into JLI, but if you were to make a book right now, top artist, top writer,
Oh, if I were to put
top
together,
team, yeah,
oh gosh, I'm again, like, I'm so out of touch. I mean, like, I think gut instinct, I'd have to get like Tom King right off the bat, just because I feel like his writing really speaks to me. Like, especially like a lot of his stuff really, like, oh gosh, especially if I go back and reread like Mr. Miracle right now that I'm a dad. Rereading Mr. Miracle is such a mind f right now. Oh man, it just, I'm holding the dude right now, and it just thinking about that. Yeah, so it brought to be that Mitch Gerrard's, because I love his art is just hands down. I mean, that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of a cop out answer, because like I'm just picking like an already established really good creative team. But if I were to go, like, let's say if I were to go back in time, I'd probably have to say like Warren Ellis and Jim Lee. If like like 2000s me was to put something together, it'd be like Warren Ellis and Jim Lee. I feel like there's probably a book out there maybe that happened at some point, maybe in Wildstorm times.
He probably did some Wildcat thing or something, I think, at some point.
Because I know Alan Moore wrote Wildcats.
Yeah. And then there's that one that kills me. I find it in the box there once in a while. There's that issue 1 Wildcats by Grant Morrison.
That's right. The Wildstorm. Yeah. That they never did number 2, right? They did 1. And
it's such a good, I reread it. It holds up. And I'm like, I want more.
I think I have that in the box too.
Wow. But that's a real bit of a cop-out answer. But what team would you put together, or what book would they be writing?
Oh, what book would they be writing? Yeah. Oh, well, it sounds like they're already doing it with the Human Target.
All right.
He's doing something with, well, like, output. That's. I have a lot of like selfish answers.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, like, it would be like Justice League International or a Magnificent Seven Justice League, the way like Grant Morrison and then Howard Porter did.
Shining Knight.
I remember that book like made me really like fall back in love with DC Comics again, because I think I'd been reading a lot of Marvel in that time and place.
Okay.
But yeah, that Morrison JLA was like, so it's so monumental.
That's the first Grant Morrison book I ever read.
Oh really? I remember like going back and having to go buy those books up above cover price, the original ones. I was like, oh dang it.
No, especially the first 4 or 5, right?
They're really crazy. Especially that number 5 is like the first.
By Martian.
Oh no. The 5th one was like the first Blue Superman in that one, because he had already been blue in the regular book, but like they kept him regular in the first 4 issues.
That's why I bought that book, because it came out the same week as Blue Superman. And I was just like, well, he's on the cover, might as well get it. And I was like, what is this? This is amazing.
He's pulling the moon.
Yeah. With magnetic fields.
That Morrison, that's another like again, like, thanks to you, I got to meet Grant Morrison in that 1 year. That was all I got to like. He was like, well, thank you so much. That's so nice. Your stuff is so amazing. Yeah, that one panel, like it was like so many of the creators I really enjoyed were all on one panel.
Freaking Keith Giffen, right?
Keith Giffen was there. Just there for like the end to do the punch.
So you worked at Galaxy, and then after that you worked at Fry's. But after that, where did you go from there?
Oh well, from Fry's, I worked there for a year, and I don't even remember picking up my books. That Fry's year was such a weird year. And then after that, that's when I went to go work for GameStop.
Oh, right.
I was at the Montebello Mall.
Yeah. And you rose up to the ranks of manager.
And I became store manager. I was down the street over here, Rosemead.
Yeah.
And I was the manager of the Rosemead store.
Yeah, I used to come buy my games from you all the way over here. I remember that.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And after that, they moved me around. They moved me to Baldwin Park. They put me in that Monterey Park store, which is like a rat trap.
Yeah.
That place is horrible.
Wait, let's go back to GameStop. There was this girl that used to work with you, right? What happened to her? She was cute.
Which
I don't remember. She was short and she had like kind of long hair to like the shoulder, kind of, and she had like a mousy voice.
The Montebello?
No, right here at the Rosemead one.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Like the Hispanic one, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, I always had a big crush on her.
She was a little cutie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was so funny because I remember like when we first hired her in Montebello, and she moved over. So she was always like a daughter to me.
Oh.
What was her name? If I had Jai here, Jai would tell you her name.
Then Dad, you should have hooked it up.
I wish I could have. I think she was trying to date this other mousy dude that was the other store. I know that's why he couldn't.
And I think she was older than me too, or something.
No, she's probably around the same age.
Same
maybe
age?
younger. Yeah.
Rats.
She was the same age as you or younger? Because I was already like at that point when I was working there, that was like 2004, so I would have been like 24, 25. So she must have been like 20, 22.
Okay. Yeah, we're about that.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know.
Big crush. I always remember her right from time to time, you know? But that's just me.
Yeah, Jai would know. Like you see, it's again like just like we always joke about how there was that one girl you dated and I don't remember her at all.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I still don't.
Which one?
Gina.
Oh man.
She beat up Patrick.
She beat him in the store. She threw him in the floor. It's basically just.
beat him up.
I wish I could remember these things.
You would argue with her all the time.
You would argue with her.
That's what astounds me. Like I feel it's just like blocked out of my memory. I was like, that's when I was working for Nintendo, and I would come by and play Clicks with you guys after work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was that. There was those years also that we would do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's when I really bonded with you guys a lot when we were playing Clicks every Wednesday.
Well, everyone was yelling at each other, and there's no better way to bond than that.
No better way to bond than that. I was like the rules lawyer. I had to settle all disputes.
Yeah.
Unless it was my own dispute.
Yeah.
But those Click years, man, we had a lot of characters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Come through the way.
That's so true. Oh my god, good and bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my golly.
There's no way around it.
Like every once in a while, like I'll remember something and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. And like, like how did we survive that?
I don't know, man. It was all about it was the Clicks, man. We had
yeah.
I think I'm not gonna speak for you guys. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I did.
I kept coming back. I was throwing money down. Collateral damage. I remember that's what got me back into it. Because I've been out.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing because I wasn't going to Pasadena to play with those.
Yeah.
Those high stakes, like like high stakes poker players up there at the game zone. Or I go like play other places. And those guys they were like too intense and they made me quit. And then
I remember going to one tournament there, and it was like early in the morning, and then they were like, "Okay, they were breaking it down. Like, then we'll have a dinner break," and I'm like, "Nope." I left.
It started at noon and finished at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were hardcore.
Heroclix, I remember I love the Clicks because we get to play the comic book stories out,
Yep.
I think that was my frustration with those kind of games because like I wanted to play, X Factor. I wanted to play Justice League. I wanted to play the Avengers, and then I'd go play these like hardcore theory crafting. They're crafting a team built only to win.
Yes.
It wasn't for fun. It wasn't it was only to win.
Yeah.
I was like my friend Jonah, who was like super hardcore.
Yeah.
We met him when we all went to the House of Secrets at one time.
Yeah.
And it was like that guy's a good friend of mine, but I hated playing Clicks with him.
Yeah, he was too hardcore. He was way too hardcore for me.
If it makes you guys feel better, there was a time when you did play.
Yeah.
We got the in-game. We played the Defenders.
Uh-huh.
I used the Offenders. And I wiped the floor with him.
Bravo.
I crushed him. And he's like, he couldn't believe it. He's like, what is happening? I'm like, yeah, go Offenders.
Well, you always say, remember, at the end of it all, it's a dice game.
It's a dice game. And it literally, the dice were on my side in that game.
Yeah.
And then I steamrolled him. And he was just like, he couldn't get over the fact that his strategy was undone by a pair of dice.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it. And for those of us who don't know, there's also some construction going on outside, so that's what you're going to hear. We got the cricket in the back and construction in the front, so we'll get through it.
That's a little ambiance.
Yeah. Enjoy the ambiance, people.
Enjoy the ambiance.
Well, I mean, at that point, okay, you're working at GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
And GameStop, is that when you started podcasting?
No. I didn't start podcasting. That was like years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked at Nintendo.
Oh,
and
right.
all of like those 7 years I was at Nintendo, everyone kept telling me I need to podcast.
Yeah.
But I was always terrified, like, if I start podcasting, like the second they find out, they're gonna fire me.
Yeah.
Because like it was my fault they changed a lot of social media rules for Nintendo employees.
Oh.
Because I was posting a little too wild on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a lot of coworkers on that was obviously my first mistake. I didn't know. 2007 or 2008, Facebook, that's very early on. And I'd say, Walmart sucks. I bleeping hate Walmart. And like, eventually someone ratted me out. And then I had to like put everything on the cover. And I'm like, okay. I even like put my Twitter, like even like my original Twitter is still protected. I've never unprotected my original Twitter. Like I have my podcast Twitter now.
Yeah.
But like that original Twitter, it's like, oh nope, only those 60 people have ever seen my original tweets.
Wow.
But it wasn't until after that. It was we started the podcast in 2017.
2017. And where were you working at that point?
I wasn't, well, I can say it now.
Yeah.
I was working at a driving school.
Right.
Because after I quit Nintendo, went to work for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dream come true, and then it became a nightmare within like 3 months.
Right.
Left there, worked for some terrible tablet company. They went bankrupt after 3 years. I stole a lot of money from them. It was great. And then I was unemployed. I had nothing. And then a friend of mine got me a job at a driving school.
Yeah.
And I was teaching kids how to drive. And I'm going to be honest, that was probably one of the most fulfilling jobs I've ever had. But it was also a life-threatening job.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean,
Not
the
all
type of people you had to take around.
It was a very stressful job. And honestly, it's the older people who were really bad. Teenagers were great. Older people, if you hadn't learned how to drive by the time you were 30, then you had a problem.
Yeah.
And then I had to diagnose that problem. And it was, and then at that point, it was during then, I did that crazy movie challenge where I watched 366 movies in 366 days.
Yeah,
in 2016.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I need a new challenge because like at that point I was like super depressed.
Yeah.
Because of like I didn't really have steady work. Like this driving school job wasn't like steady. I was trying to pay all my bills in Pasadena. And I was still getting comics, but still trying to find a way to put my passion. I was like, oh, I should finally do a podcast. I really like, even though I was like incredibly broke, I just bought all the equipment on my Best Buy card.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lucked out that our good friend Sam Zia was just like, oh, good, just come down and record it at the iHeartRadio studio. No, I think you were there for
the first one.
You were there for the first one.
First one, yeah. I was the test pilot.
You're on the test episode.
Yeah.
And and just the ball got rolling there at least. That ridiculous high off those first 2 episodes. I remember my heart rate didn't come down.
Wow.
For like 2 hours after the show. I was still like
stoked.
I was just like nervous and anxious because I kind of just left everything out there.
Yeah.
Like all of my anxiety, all of my depression, all the stuff that bothered me, or like I got to kind of like put it to the side and just perform. I mean, I was performing.
Yeah, you perform when we were around.
Yeah. I felt like I was kind of just performing. Like the actual me is incredibly depressed most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's like I never liked to bring people down. I wanted to bring people up.
Yeah.
And then that show was just another way to try to like bring people up and also kind of keep me alive. Honestly, it was just like it gave me purpose. Like that job was fulfilling, teaching people, but it was driving me mad. I was ready to check out at any moment.
It was fulfilling. Whoa, like check out.
I was I'll be honest. There was various times I was ready because I didn't I thought I had failed as an adult. Like at that point, I really felt like I had failed at adulthood. I'm like, oh, I blew it at Nintendo. I walked away from a Nintendo job. I walked away from a Disney job, and then it's like, oh, what do I have to show for it? I'm a dude teaching kids how to drive, barely paying my bills. And I was like, oh, I have all this passion about all this nerd stuff. And then I'm like, oh, you need to find something where you can express it. And I'm like, well, a podcast isn't going to pay the bills.
No.
But at least it was something that, thanks to Pete's support and Sam's support, it was like something to keep me motivated.
Yeah.
Keep me like, oh, okay, cool. I can something to look forward to like the next week. I can't be like, oh, the only thing keeping me around is like, oh, I want to watch the next Marvel movie. That's not.
Yeah, that's months in between.
It's like, oh, how do you cope with the dark voice in the back of your head?
It's a weekly
in between all that, and that's what the podcast became. My, I hate to say it, that was my reason for living.
Holy shit, motherfucker! Because that's pretty much where I'm at right now. You know, yeah, it does give you a sense of purpose in a weird, strange way.
I feel like that's something that's like lost on my significant other sometimes. Like that's the reason it's still like I'm I mean, obviously, I have much more responsibility now. In
Of
my arms.
course. Yeah.
Like now my reason for the season is right here. This little
Yeah.
2-year-old that that I love him, but he's a 2-year-old. So
Yeah.
right, gigantic challenge.
Yeah.
But at that point, that's 5 years ago. That's where I was. Yeah, I don't really express it too much, but yeah. Hey, I'm the guest, so I'm opening up.
Yeah, do it. That's what we're here for, and that's why I like having these conversations. So most people don't know this about people that collect comics and are into the genre. We are still human beings at the end of the day.
It's so true. I feel that there is this you think that person's identity is the comic books or the video games, but it's kind of just it's a crutch.
Yeah,
I hate to say it. It's something that it makes you
quick escape.
It's escape. Instead of doing a line of coke, you're reading some comics.
Exactly. Line of coke will keep you buzzing 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Comic do the same.
You get that same endorphin, that same that same trigger in your head. Like that excitement. I mean, we've all worked a Wednesday. Like you crack open that box and there's a book you're looking forward to.
Oh yeah.
It's like for me, like back in the day, it was like Ultimate Spider-Man when it was coming out every 2 weeks. I remember I told our boss back then, I'm like, dude, I'm not doing anything for the next 10 minutes. I want to read issue 23 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Don't bother me.
Taking a mandatory break. Yeah.
This is my OSHA mandated break.
Even though you weren't paying taxes, it was all under the table.
It was all under the table. Yeah. I can say that now. The IRS isn't going to come get me now. Statute of limitations or something or other like that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I was saying.
But yeah, no, like I still do the show.
Yeah.
I still do the podcast.
Yeah.
I had. It's funny. There's been various points in time in the last couple of years, especially now with fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, can I still keep doing it? It's there's times I go like my wife the other day. She's like, it's Memorial Day. So why don't you just take the day off? And my mentality with taking the week off has always been, if you take a week off, then you're going to take 2 weeks off. And you take 2 weeks off, you're going to take a month off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you haven't done a podcast in 6 months. Because I've seen this happen to so many podcasts where like, let's just take a break to recharge our batteries.
Yeah.
And then you never come back.
You know what? I just had a mini vacation. Mm-hmm. You know what I did? I recorded 2.
Yep. You're smart. You banked 2.
And I'm just starting at this.
Mm-hmm.
So
you understand? Because I've been listening to podcasts.
I learned it from watching you.
You learned from watching me. Because my big podcast inspiration was like obviously Mark Maron.
Yeah.
And then and the one that's not as popular is this other pro wrestler named Colt Cabana. Because he was doing it every week forever. And then he stopped simply because he couldn't keep up creating the content. It was like between the pandemic and he kind of it was hard to like his podcast was dependent on him traveling around and talking to people.
Yeah.
And so like now he just releases seasons now. Whenever a Blue Chew penis pill or something pays him, he'll do like 6 episodes. He'll find some people and record some episodes.
See, well, that's another thing. I don't monetize any of my stuff. I'm doing it for the love of it.
Right. Exactly. Right.
I don't understand how it works anyway. So even
you have to. I've been at it for 5 years. I've never made a dime.
Yeah.
I got a wife and a kid out of it, but
I was going to say after bringing that up, you say you can't make a living out of it, but you got a new life out of it.
My wife found me because of the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She listened to you and be like,
she heard.
I want to wrap my arms around that.
She wanted she heard the voice and then she liked the content and she saw me and then it was like, and luckily for her, it was a mutual attraction and then bing bong boom, get together, get married. Now we got a baby.
I have a very funny story about that.
Okay.
I remember meeting with Rosa about some event or something. And this is before you guys met. And she goes, hey, who's that guy you do the podcast with? And then we were talking to her. And she's like, oh, really? And she's like, has he seen anybody? And I'm like, oh. And then I don't know why. I thought to myself, I was like, oh, you should know. That's not a character he does.
That's kind of him all the time.
And then her response was like, even better.
And that's not love. I don't know.
She loved me for who I am.
Yeah.
So that's not something, I guess, you don't run away from that.
And that love led to this little tiger here.
I got this adorable 2-year-old boy who normally, There's episodes of podcasts where like I've started the show with him awake, and he just grabs the mic, and he's like, "Hello, hello."
Yeah, it's like the one at Disneyland. I heard that one. I was like, oh man, you guys had a blast.
No, I was very fortunate. A friend of ours, she works for Marvel. She does like computer editing. She's like, or she does some system admin. Like she keeps the computers running for them.
Okay.
And she was like the second she got the silver pass or the employee pass.
Nice.
Her first thought was like, oh, we need to get Tiger to Disneyland.
Nice.
And then I told her, oh yeah, he'll die when he sees Cars Land. It was funny. He didn't. He was just kind of like, what is this place? This isn't real. Like, he loves the Cars movies. I've seen Cars now in the last 2 months.
He's watching Cars right now.
He's watching Cars 3 right now. We don't watch Cars 2. Cars 2 doesn't exist.
No, we don't talk about Cars 2.
He walked away from Cars 2. He went to play with the dishwasher.
Oh wow!
When I put Cars 2 on.
Yeah.
And he walked away and went to go play with the dishwasher. That's how bad Cars 2 is. But yeah, no, like I've never made a dime. I mean, there is a Patreon that is like helps me pay for the hosting fees, because I pay for SoundCloud Pro or whatever. That way, all my episodes exist in perpetuity as long as I pay for it, I guess. And two of my high school friends are basically funding that.
Oh my god! Well,
the $10 a month is helping fund the SoundCloud Pro for the show. Like before, they used to just be a cost that I would eat. That was like, oh, the cost of my podcast.
Yeah, you would go hungry for 2 days or so.
Oh, I was selling Nintendo stuff on eBay. That's how I would. That's how I was funding it back in the 17 and 18.
Oh, right. You would sell like rare cartridges that you only get at GameStop or something.
Oh, you can only get that if you're a Nintendo employee.
Okay.
Like super rare stuff, which I have now sold. I mean, like I had a big debt a few years ago, and I sold a whole bunch of these Pokemon cartridges to my boss. My boss is he's a relatively big figure in video games, and then he's like, I want to buy everything. Let me in your storage unit. He wants to buy all my stuff.
Oh my god!
But he just wants to buy one flat fee and like
rip
me off. I'm like, no, I know what this stuff is worth. You got $1,000 for one of these cartridges once.
You dangle it in front of him.
Oh, I tease him all the time.
Oh boy!
I have so much of it in my office. Like this job I have now, I work in video game distribution. I sell video games wholesale.
Nice.
Now and now I'm like I'm a character on my boss's whatnot.
It's Wacky Dre.
Basically,
yes.
I turn on the really deep podcast voice. Oh, nice. All right, guys, we're opening up box number 1. All right, the winner of this auction gets to pick a game. Oh, look at the rare stuff we have here. I hit that really right there.
You're not selling out. You're buying in.
Yeah, that's the joke, I guess.
That's what he keeps telling me, man.
I'll sell out. I am.
Yeah, it's not selling out.
It's buying in. Play the game.
Everything I do, it's funny now. Every time I feel like I'm selling out, it's because I'm doing something for him. I'm doing something for this guy now.
Doing it for her. You're like in The Simpsons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Circle back to it. Pop. Everything I do is for this guy right here.
Yeah.
I have this bronze Mario statue I won my first year working for Nintendo. And God forbid, if I need to pay for something for this dude, I'm going to sell it to my boss for a couple of G's. He wants it really bad.
Wow.
And I was like, it has my name on it. It's one of the few things that has Nintendo and my name on it. It's like the little proof I have. I'm like, I was there.
Yeah. But you're willing to give it up for fatherhood. Yeah.
But I would give it up for this guy. Like if suddenly something happened, like, oh, I need a few G's for him. Be it college or whatever emergency. I'd turn around and, all right, boss, all right, let's negotiate.
Yeah.
A couple G's for my Mario statue.
So, I mean, what's that like being a dad then? Being a nerdy dad?
Being a nerdy dad?
Yeah.
It's funny. I think that's what my podcast has become, is me reckoning with that.
Yeah.
It's this constant struggle of like, how much do I want to expose him to? Because I don't necessarily want him to see all the things I've seen.
Well, he's going to hear about it later when he's old enough. He's going to be going back and seeing all those things recorded.
All this stuff. All the stuff I recorded. But I think it's more like, oh, when do I show him Star Wars?
Oh.
When do I show him? When do I let him read my comics? Oh, what comics do I let him read if he's even interested?
Yeah.
It's like all this stuff. Like my parents didn't care. I was watching R-rated movies.
Yeah.
When I was like 6 years old, they took me to go see Cobra.
And wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, all I remember is that pizza box in the scene. Well, and I'm like, where's the pizza? Like all 6-year-old me cared about, like, why isn't there a pizza in the box? I mean, there's a gun and all this cool stuff in there, and I'm like, but where's the pizza? But then it's just like, that's the thing of the nerd dad. I mean, well, it's supposed to be, I guess, every dad, like, you want your kid to live better than you.
Yeah.
And then as a nerd dad, I want my kid to have a better nerd life than me.
Yeah, for sure.
I want him to, like, have all the cool stuff. I want him to appreciate Spider-Man and the Justice League and all this stuff. But it's just like, oh, nerd culture can be so, like, weird. I mean, like, you were tweeting today, you saw whenever this releases, but all the negativity that can surround a Star Wars, that can surround a Marvel movie, that can surround it. Like, there's so much. Like, it's a part of me is like, oh, I kind of don't, like, there's half of me, like, I don't want my son to be a nerd. I want him to be kind of, like, insulated from this, the bad stuff. I want him to experience the cool stuff. I want him to be like, oh, Boba Fett, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, lightsabers are awesome. Harry Potter.
But what if it skips a generation? You know, sometimes it does happen.
That's true. Yeah, and that's the thing. I have no expectations.
Oh, okay.
I am not expecting him to carry, like, my legacy.
Okay.
Like, I make the joke with my wife all the time. Like, I could probably drop dead, and you guys can just sell everything and do whatever. But I'm not going to be here to stop you guys. If he doesn't care about comics or video games or any of this stuff, I have this crazy Blu-ray collection. We were just moving a lot of our stuff around this past weekend, and I see all these toys. I'm like, oh, cool! I realized so many of these toys I bought. I'm like, oh, I can give them to him.
Yeah.
But that's only if he's into it.
Oh.
Like, he knows who Grogu is. He's all about Grogu. Because there's so much stuff out there for kids now.
Yeah.
But that brings a great example. Would I have him watch The Mandalorian? No. And that's the thing. I keep going through my head. I'm like, how old do I let him watch Mandalorian? Yeah. Do I wait till he's 10? Do I wait till he's 12? Do I have to wait till he's 18?
Oh boy,
I don't know.
That's too far.
Exactly. These are the weird nerd questions that go through my head as a dad. I'm sure it's different for other dads, but for me, it's like, oh man, I'm like, I can't let him watch the Avengers movie, like the Joss Whedon Avengers. There's a lot of bad things going on in there. It's like, oh, Multiverse of Madness? Oh my God, you're not gonna watch that kid for 20-something years, kid.
At that point, you're sheltering him, and he might resent you for that.
That's the problem.
Oh man.
And then I become Obi-Wan in not Empire Strikes Back, in Return of the Jedi. I wasn't lying to you. I was just giving you a different point of view.
Yeah.
I used to make that joke all the time before I was a dad. I'm like, I'm going to lie to my child. There's no prequels.
Yeah.
And when he finds out, I'm just going to tell him, hey, I'm Obi-Wan. I'm like, truth from a different point of view. And now when an actual dad, I'm like, I don't know when to show him this stuff. I go through Disney Plus, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we watched Encanto, and he loved that. He danced. He thought that was really fun. But I struggle on, like, Aristocats. Oh, there's all that racism. Peter Pan. Oh man, there's all that racism. Oh man, Pocahontas. Oh man, there's all that racism. I'm like, oh, I can't show you any of this stuff, kid.
But it's that wholesome Disney racism.
Right. Taking the Disneyland baby. He was offered a Buzz Lightyear toy for free.
Oh wow.
I guess, I don't know, maybe that's something. I mean, before I was a parent, obviously, I was never offered anything for free at Disneyland.
Yeah.
But we're at that big Disney store at the front of the park, and I'm trying to buy him a little Mickey Mouse car, and this lady walks up to him with a little bubble machine with Buzz Lightyear, and then the lady was like, the catch is he has to accept it. You can't just be like, yeah, give it to us. Yeah, cool. $35 item for free. Yeah, cool. Give it to us.
Go for it.
No, he has to want it, and because I haven't shown him Toy Story, because I'm terrified of showing him that horrible child Sid.
Oh boy.
I'm like, oh no, he hasn't seen Toy Story. He's seen Cars. He's seen Cars 2. That's it. All right, Cars 3. That's it for Pixar.
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. scares him.
Wow.
I mean,
granted, yeah, they're kind of scary. Yeah. When you're older, like, they're silly looking monsters. When you're a kid, like, what is this? But yeah, it's that's the big nerd dad thing is like, what do I show him and how do I show it to him? And it's just like, oh, he's going to learn on his own. Yeah. He's going to go to a friend's house and they're going to watch something. He's going to come back home. Oh, wow, I just watched such and such. We watched Iron Man.
Yeah.
He blew that guy's head off with a rocket.
It's like, Dad, we watched that really old movie, Iron Man.
There's that too.
It was funny. When I was a kid, I'm the oldest. My parents were like super protective,
Mm-hmm.
and they never let me watch G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was violent.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember when I was the movie came out, the animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was like, "Oh, we're gonna go see the G.I. Joe movie," and I'm like, "Okay." And we went to go see it. And I was so lost. I was not excited at all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then when didn't like Duke die? And
Yeah.
That was a big thing with those animated movies. They had to kill somebody.
Yeah.
They had to kill Optimus Prime in Transformers. They had to kill Duke in the
G.I. Joe movie.
G.I. Joe movie.
But it's just funny because you think about it, and looking back at it, they did go with it violent. Like
the worst shots on Earth.
Yeah.
No one could hit a.
Star Wars people.
They were all like stormtroopers.
Yeah.
They couldn't hit a shot to save their lives.
Yeah.
That's horrible. And then there was red and blue. There was no bullets. Those red and
no
blue.
bullets, red and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's another nerd dad thing. I'm like, oh, I have all these Transformers because the kid, he loves vehicles. Right now, he's all about vehicles.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh man, and it's not necessarily a question of violence. It's like, can he handle transforming something right now? No, he can't.
Yeah.
No.
You wait till he's like 7 before I like, here you go, kid. All of my transfers. I don't care what these are worth. These are yours now.
Yeah. But he has to accept that he has to.
It has to want to. Like, I mean, I feel like right now I could hand him like my Optimus Prime. And
Like the truck.
it's a truck. Oh,
yeah,
vroom,
yeah.
vroom. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But like he wouldn't. I'm like, he wouldn't appreciate it.
Do you ever worry about like? We talk about it all the time. Like, I don't know about you, but most people, they don't like the stuff their parents like. Like, do you ever worry that might be the case?
Oh, I know. Like I said, I've made peace with the fact like he might not like my stuff. He might think comic books, like he might think Marvel and DC are lame because Daddy likes it.
Yeah.
He might think video games are lame because Daddy or like the games that I like. He might be all about Roblox and Minecraft or whatever is cool, 5 years from now.
But sometimes there's a resurgence and they come back to the stuff that you
Right.
like, you know?
And that's why like I'm not gonna push it on him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like, all right, we got this stuff. Like he sees the controllers, he goes beep boop beep. He's curious about it. But he knows who Mario is.
Yeah.
Like he has like Mario shirts and Mario shoes, and he knows the characters. Or like because grandma buys him stuff. Like we were at Trader Joe's, and you know how they do their fake little thing. Like somebody drew a fake Mario, and he saw it. And he's like, Mario. He pointed to it, and he knew that it was a Mario. It was a fake Mario, but he knew it was Mario.
Okay.
He has to be he's Roswell as a supervisor when they go to the cave.
Sorry, buddy. We already assigned you a job.
You're already taking
I'm sorry, you're in charge of Roswell.
You're in charge of Roswell. But it's okay.
He'll be.
My mommy keeps saying he's a CEO, so he has it in him.
He'll make it. He'll do it.
You boss grandma and Auntie Anthony around. What's up, Bubba? Who's on your shirt? Can you tell your uncles? Who's this?
Oh,
he's so quiet.
What did he say?
He is so shy right now. Can you say Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse.
He's so shy right now. Oh God, I am sweating extra because of him.
All right, we'll just do, I guess, one more segment.
Oh yeah. I'll give you what I got now.
All right.
However much you need, I will give you. If you need
No, I mean, we could do another one in the future. That's no problem. We can talk about different stuff. This is like I guess this is a little more father oriented.
Oh yeah, no, that's on.
Because this is where your life has led you now.
Yeah.
To become a poppy.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we've been recording.
We've been recording.
Yeah.
I feel like a guest on WTF because Marin does that to people.
Yeah.
Oh, we're recording. No, yeah, fatherhood is that's
where you're at right now, man.
It's where I am. It's my focus. Everything revolves around him. Everything I'm really fortunate that my current job, all my bosses are all dads.
Oh, they understand.
They totally get it. If I have to dip early for a doctor's appointment or come in late, or even I've taken care of him at work. I've had him at the office. I have one little window of YouTube for him, and then I'm doing my invoicing.
Yeah.
And inventory management in the other screen.
I was scared when you showed up with him right now. I was like, what am I in for? I was thinking it's gonna be screaming and kicking. And I've been, dude, well behaved.
We've been very lucky. He's in a good mood. When he's a good me and the wife always talk about this. People always, oh, terrible twos.
Yeah.
It's like when they're 2 years old, they're learning. They're figuring stuff out.
Mhm.
They're trying to understand. Like right now, like he's kind of uncomfortable, but like, all right, he's in my arms.
Yeah.
He has, he's watching Lightning McQueen race.
Yeah.
So he's comfortable. He doesn't need to scream. He doesn't need to like do anything. Like, but there's times like you thought
Again, we're
Of course.
live inside.
we're live inside. There's
People outside,
construction outside.
and the lights might go out at any moment.
Yeah.
At any moment, they might turn out the lights on us.
I got my lantern.
That's your lantern. Yeah, he's like, it's funny, but a lot of times when people see him,
Mhm.
he's pretty like chilled out because he's kind of. I think he's chilled out because he's uncomfortable.
Mm.
He acts out more when he's like when it's just me, him, and mama at home.
Yeah.
Oh, he's very liable to be like,
Well,
applesauce.
he's
no.
a king at that point.
Oh, he's the king.
Yeah.
Water. Up. His big thing is up. He always likes to be held, even though he's 35 slim pounds. He's a giant.
Yeah.
It's up. Like you saw when he felt uncomfortable when the phone fell.
Yeah.
And he immediately said, up. Up. Like this is his comfort zone right here with me, and then that's why he's relatively calm.
Yeah.
At the moment.
He is a monster, and I wouldn't expect anything else from Cervantes'
Right.
baby.
You see this mutant with my mega mind.
Yeah.
Coming out. So I'm not shocked that this kid's a giant.
I remember we had a pop-up event in December
Right.
at the store, and Rosa came with him.
Right.
I remember it just fascinated the hell out of me. Like we had a Christmas tree,
Mm-hmm.
and he stood at the tree and he was just looking at it. And I'm watching him, and all of a sudden I could see something like it's working something out of his head,
Mm-hmm.
and he ran over to Rosa to ask for this ornament.
Mm-hmm.
Like he remembered, like, oh yeah, this is for here.
For the tree. Yeah, and he went to put it back.
And he went to put on the tree. And I was like, oh wow, oh my god.
Yeah. He's really sharp. I mean, I don't want to toot my own home, but he goes to like a Montessori preschool.
Okay.
And then the teachers there, they're like, Jacob is very smart. He's very independent.
That's good.
Quote unquote. A very accurate quote right there. And yeah, he just he'll blow us away a lot. He's not showing his Wile E. Coyote-ness right now. But he is he exhibits a little more intelligence than the average 2-year-old, which is a good thing. Also very bad sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, bedtime? No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not bedtime. No.
He's the king of the castle. You got to do what he says.
No, play. We're gonna play.
People are too smart to get bored real easy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yesterday he made a mountain of socks. He grabbed all of his socks. He's like, Dada, pile of socks. And then it became a pile of rocks, and he put all of his little Pixar cars all around it. And he's like, cars fall down. Boom, 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 boom.
Fascinating.
He's already imagined it.
Yeah.
It's awesome and terrifying.
Yeah. Because where can he go from here? Yeah.
He built his own little house.
Yeah.
He built his own little house in our apartment. He's like, Tiger's house. Da-da. Ding dong.
Ding dong.
No.
And I had to open it. The door was a fire truck.
Uh-huh.
And I opened it. I was like, Dada, come inside. Sit down. Applesauce. And he offered me applesauce.
Oh, I'm a very good host.
Yeah. I don't know where he got this. I don't understand.
What a trip, man.
It trips me out.
Yeah.
Fatherhood is like totally work my brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. After you had him, we totally saw a change in you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely a different person
Yeah.
now than I was before.
Yeah. No, you're not as angry. You're not as loud.
Oh
you
no,
know?
I'm tired.
Oh. Mystery solved.
Mystery solved. I'm tired. My wife and I are exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
So that's the reason he's here.
Mm.
She couldn't sleep the last few nights.
Okay.
She's like, take him. She's napping right now
Yeah.
at home. Well, I got this kid napping on me. Or trying to nap.
It's a compromise, like you said earlier.
Everything's a compromise.
Yeah.
But the parenthood, you learn. I think that's the biggest thing I learned. It's like, oh, not everything's a big deal. I feel like I was very. I'm trying to find the right word to say what I was before. I was very frenetic. I was always like, everything is urgent. Everything is important.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I mellowed out.
Yeah.
I have to mellow out.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not cool, he's not cool.
Yeah. They do reciprocate. And they do learn from you.
Yeah, that's another big nerd dad thing. It's like, oh, we joked about, oh, I'm not into sports like I used to be anymore.
Oh.
It's like, oh, like that doesn't matter anymore. I can't carry the anger of the Dodgers loss with me. I have to take care of my son.
Yeah.
I don't care how the Lakers are doing. I have to care. Does he need a diaper change?
Yeah.
Is he hungry? Is he happy?
But you still peek, right? Every once in a while.
Oh yeah, no, I pay attention like on Twitter, but it's like, it's not
prominent.
It doesn't drive my life. Like everything, like games doesn't drive. Honestly, that's something that I miss. Games driving my life a little bit.
Oh.
Like my job is games, but now it's like I have my own YouTube channel where I like do unboxing videos and do all kinds of like how-to videos now, and but that's just like a hobby now. I literally treat it like a hobby.
Yeah.
And it doesn't dominate my mind like it used to. The comings and goings of the Avengers is what used to drive me. What am I doing in this game, or what am I doing with this comic book, or how's this comic book going? Now it's just like, okay, I got to worry about his tuition. I got to worry about making sure he has his lunch. I got to worry. He's going to wake up on time this morning? Because he's already a teenager. He doesn't want to wake up now. He used to wake us up at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now it's like we get up and he's just like, sleeping.
Oh my.
No, I'm sleeping.
My.
So I'm like, when did you become a teenager? Wake up, we got to get you to preschool. Shoes. No shoes.
I hate you, Dad.
Lightning McQueen.
Dude.
And then here I'm putting on Disney Plus at 8:30 in the morning to kind of just compromise with him. Like, you're going to watch McQueen. I'm going to put on your shoes. At some point, we have to say, bye-bye, McQueen. And I'm going to turn off the TV, and we're going to go to school. So your preschool teacher is going to yell at me for getting you to school late.
Boy.
So there's still that edge there, but it's just like, everything else is inconsequential now.
So I was going to ask you, like, what does the next 5 years hold for you? But at this point, what does the next 18 years hold for you?
Making sure this guy's not an a-hole.
Yeah.
I think that's like my primary goal.
Yeah.
Is to make sure he's like a decent person. That's all that's like all I care. I don't want him to be I don't want him to be like I don't know, the way my parents raised me, they made me a prick. Honestly and truly. I was like, you unfortunately guys got to see a lot of it. Dada up. There you go.
Up.
Earlier.
Let's get him up then.
Up, buddy. I want this guy to be a good person. I don't want him. I want him to be better than me.
Yeah.
And as much as I sometimes want to like look back at myself with rose-colored glasses. No, I will soberly look at myself. I'm like, no. I tried to be a good person, but I was bad more often than I was good.
Yeah. Okay.
I was very self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
I only cared about me.
Yeah.
I did care about my friends to like I wasn't like an outright a-hole.
No, you bought me pizza.
I bought you pizza. No, yeah, maybe. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No, it's just I look back and it's another. There's a lot of like decisions that are like, oh, I could have been less shitty.
Yeah.
I could have I could have chosen, but like when I was younger, a lot of people treated me poorly because I was a nerd. So once I got older, instead of like being better, I just felt entitled, like, okay, now I can be a bad person because I have a little bit of power.
Yeah.
Because that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Like once you have some power or you have some authority, now you get to be a jerk.
And you can turn off the video game of someone who's playing, bringing it back.
Exactly. No. You have to, right. And then I kind of want to make sure that doesn't happen with my son.
Yeah.
Where like he chooses to do things for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And not because out of like some weird vengeance. I mean, you guys knew me where all I cared about was getting vengeance against that one guy. Yeah. I was so obsessed with, I was filled to the brim with hate.
Yeah.
And it was very like, in my mind, it was justified. Like he was the bad guy and I was the good guy. And that was my motivation in life.
Yeah.
That was my life motivation. I was like,
there was a lot of hatred
obsessed. There. It was unhealthy. I look back on it and how unhealthy and terrible it is. I still hate the guy. I'm still human. I'm not perfect now. I'm better now than I was then. But
and we've seen him every once in a while.
I'm sure. No,
Yeah.
he's still.
He works up the street.
He works up the street. Yeah, he still dwells in these circles.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like when I was younger, I swore like if I ever saw him, I was gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
And then I saw him at a comic book store in Glendale.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, nah, it's not worth getting fired from Nintendo for this. So I'm walking around in a Nintendo uniform. I could have just walked over to the counter and clocked them and then like felt good for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the police would have been called and I would have been arrested. And then Nintendo would have been like, what are you doing? You're
in uniform.
You're in uniform. You're misrepresenting the brand of Nintendo that we're supposed to. We're supposed to be happy and fun, not punching random people. No, but you don't understand. I hated this guy for 20 years.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was gonna say. But
yeah, and it's like no, it's like this weird justified hatred I had. Like it was like, oh, like I was the hero of my story.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in his mind he was the hero of his story.
Yeah.
And then that's what I mean. Like I was a jerk and I was immature.
Yeah.
And I look back on it with I have that horrible 2020 vision of looking back and like beating myself up for all the times I wasn't better than I wasn't as good as I should have been.
Yeah.
I wasn't better. And I think that's what really that's like a big motivation for me where I try to be good to people.
Do better.
Unless someone's like, well, my wife's all about astrological signs. I don't know how you guys feel about that kind of stuff, but
I'm an Aquarius.
I'm a Libra.
Okay, wow.
So I'm very justice driven. So I felt very justified in because that guy. I always felt like he was disrespecting me. So he was always hurting. I remember he was hurting the business.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I always in my mind. You're hurting the store, and that means you're hurting me. And that's why I don't like you, and that's why you're the bad guy in this situation.
And there's a justification of a Libra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I justify it, but now I give the energy I get. Like if someone's crappy to me, then I feel bad for them because they're gonna catch all the evil inside me that I'm ready to unleash. It happens a little too often at work, via email or via phone, where like some customer is just trying to just be really crappy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it's just like razor sharp, evil from me. And my boss is like, whoa. I'm like, sorry, I have that in me sometimes.
Yeah. No, I see it. And what goes around comes around. That's the biggest thing. And the world's shitty enough as it is right now.
Exactly.
Especially when you have to work with the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm dealing with the second layer of these are all resellers.
Oh, yeah.
These are all wholesalers. They're just trying to
They have a sense of entitlement.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they look on my website. I have one controller, and then I'm ordering 10. I'm like, it says 1. I only have one controller left in stock, and you tried to order 10. What's wrong with you? Are you unable to read? Do you have a reading disability? And that's when all the evil starts coming out. I am just this vicious demon inside of me, and it's like, oh yes, I get to it.
Old Dre's still in there.
It's refined now. It's not even old Dre.
Okay.
It's this advanced evil, which
it's freaking intricate.
Oh.
gone the form of man.
All that's left is this Dre, man.
It's like I'm poor Jason Blood going, I'm good. Hey, excuse me, is there a way I can get a 50% discount? What is wrong with you? Are you mentally disabled? Do you not understand how business works? Do you want me to lose $20 a controller simply because you don't understand how business works, child? And it just comes out, and my boss, my boss sees the good me most of the time. Because he treats me my boss treats me with respect, and it's a mutual respect. We joke a lot, and then I have a very dark sense of humor. You guys know me, and I'll whip out that dark sense of humor. And I'm like, dude, it's like, chill, no, sorry, my bad.
My bad.
And again, I want him to be better than I don't want my son to have this.
No.
I carry this every day.
No.
My wife loves the dark sense of humor. We have to whisper the bad jokes to each other, but I don't want him to be like this. He's my precious little man.
Yeah.
He's still innocent.
He's still perfect. Yeah.
He's still innocent. He knows how to manipulate me already.
Oh,
but
boy. It starts.
It's But no, yeah, no. Like again, the movie almost over. Hey, movie's almost over. But yeah, no. I always have to reckon with who I was.
Yeah.
And I carry it with me a lot.
Yeah.
It really is kind of like a burden I carry around.
No.
Because there's all these people like you guys. You guys know
We've seen it.
the old me, and you have no idea how much I appreciate the fact that you guys are still my friends, even though I was not necessarily the best person.
No, but that's the thing. We saw beyond who you really were. We saw the kinder side, even though the anger was always there.
Yeah, there was all that bluster, but I still tried to do good by you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
we're legacy.
Yeah.
You know, you basically we were a reflection of you. You know, we started slanging books because of you. You know, it was one store, but who the fuck taught us how to run the register and shit?
It was me. Juan owned it, but he wasn't running it.
No, it was not. Yeah.
I always joked like when the old owner owned the store, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because his mom would just bail us out whenever we were in trouble. Yeah. But once the other guy took over, I was like, I had to care about the store.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, oh, if we have a bad month, then the store could go away, and I don't want the store to go away.
Yeah.
And so that's why I cared. I really paid attention to what was selling and wasn't selling else.
There was a love there for it, even though it was run poorly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a love for the customers, there was a love for the people that came in.
I really started caring about the customer's well-being when the other guy when Juan took over.
Yeah.
I like, oh, I have to care about the customers now. I need to be. I had to treat them well because I couldn't take them for granted anymore.
Yeah.
Because well, whatever. Barry's mom will pay for the problems. Whatever. If I piss off all these customers, if I have a certain customer want to come in and knock me out because I locked the door on them.
There's tons of stories behind that.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I'm sure there's still people who hate that clerk.
Yeah.
Who hate that guy. There's a lot of people who like that guy.
Yeah.
And because I tried to do good, but pre that, I was. Well, the woman I was dating back then, it was always I had to be out at 7.
Yeah.
I had to be out. Sorry, like if I was single, well, whatever, we'd stay till 9. I'd be there playing Final Fantasy 9 or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, there was a weird time when you were with Anna, I believe.
Yes, her name was Anna. Yeah.
Yeah, and
she's a mom now.
No.
Around the same time as this dude.
Is it a girl?
Yes.
Are they gonna get married?
We make that joke all the time. They finally hung out for the first time a few months ago. If there was no pandemic, they would have hung out a lot more. But
yeah.
They were born like literally around the same time.
Oh my god, that is.
I think he's like 6 weeks older than.
How weird is that?
We had the same OBGYN. What? Well, because we were still living in Montebello at the time.
Oh, I'm tripping out.
Right? No, believe me, it's trips me out too, bro.
Yeah. I don't know what to say for that one, but
the world is weird, man. Yeah. I'm not a religious man, but I believe in karma.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to do good for all the bad karma I've created.
Good luck. You got a lot to go.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, but that's good karma right there. You're holding in your hands.
This little man.
Yeah. No.
I want him to be good.
Yeah, he will. We'll make sure of it.
We won't let him know what the Juan story is.
No.
Right?
Oof. Yeah. We could go on forever on that.
I know.
It's funny, like we were talking about it last week for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's you.
I remember driving home that night and thinking to myself, how did we survive a lot of that?
It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
No.
It was a crazy time.
I should have that guy on the podcast.
Oh man, you can find him.
Probably still lives with his mom.
Let's wave a $5 bill in the air. He'll come on and grab it. Didn't he reach out for you for your thing?
I reached out for him.
He reached out to you.
Yeah, and it was one of the things like I thanked him for everything he did for us, but it was kind of like my goodbye letter to him, thank. But then he said, "Hey, come pick up some comics for free," and I went to go pick up some comics for free. I got to meet his 2 kids, brand new kids and stuff.
New kids.
Yeah. I forgot their name. One's Bella, and I forgot the other kid's name. But
wow.
Yeah. And it was a trip.
The world is crazy, man.
But I think that mellowed him out also a little bit more too. So I don't think it was as.
No, the first one didn't.
No, well, Susan. Yeah, my betrothed.
That's right.
You know, there's a word in my head that I always say
Mhm.
in my head at the beginning. Comeuffin.
Ah,
That's a word that you said that has never left me from that day.
yeah.
And I always think about that word. I'm going to be honest. That's just a word that just bounces
Like,
around.
Comeuffin.
Mhm.
Not comeuffin, but comeuffin.
You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I always think of you. And I was like, like there were times I'm just like,
Comeuffin.
I remember when you told me that, and
Yeah.
I was like, that is the funniest thing I've heard in a long time.
It could have been a different world, Dre. It could have been a different world. All right. I think with that, we're going to start ending it here,
Well,
with the comeuffin. With the world that could
if
have
you
been.
want more of this fun stuff, you can find me, Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. I'm where all your usual podcasts are: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Trying to think.
What's the
Pandora?
What's the handle?
The Twitter handle is @DreGP Podcast, or as someone has said on Twitch, Dr. Ig Podcast.
I think we found our next shirt.
Yeah, Dr. Ig.
Dr. Ig Podcast. Just skip that one. You skip the double P.
Yeah.
You mold the two P's in one. Dr. Ig Podcast. That's what a guy on Twitch said. Hey, what's up, Dr. Ig Podcast? And it's like the Dre is all lowercase. The GP is capital.
Yeah.
But nope. Dr. Ig Podcast. Pretty good. Dre GP Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. Yeah. I got rid of the random numbers, random letters. We're over 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the video game stuff that my boss lets me use.
That works. Well, again, thank you very much. And thank you, Peter, as well, for being here. Thank you, Tiger.
Thank you for having me on.
No, it was a dream of mine. I was scared, like I said, but it was.
This is only the second time I've ever been a guest on a podcast.
Oh, wow.
Normally, I'm in the driver's seat, but it's actually a lot more fun in the passenger seat.
Yeah, I think so. I think I had a good time myself, too.
I hope we had a good time.
Yeah.
So with
I'm not
that,
sure about Ty here, but
no, he seems cool with it.
Yeah, next time he'll talk a little bit more once he's more comfortable with you guys.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you very much for following us. I'll see you next week with a whole new episode. Thank you, Dre. Thank you, Peter. And to all you ComiCentrics out there, have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, and bye.